The return of Ohio State training camp also means press conference season is underway, and that means there's a lot more on the mind of television's Adam King on a Talkin' Tuesday on the Beat, presented by the Waterworks. He, of course, is television's Adam King. I am Austin Ward, and we have 3 days of availability on tap this week. I'm hoping that you're going to start with Arthur Smith, but I literally have no idea what questions are rattling around that big old brain of yours.
I have so many questions for so many people, and we only have 20 minutes to delve in.
It's YouTube. We can
go for 5 hours.
Go as long as you need.
I think it's funny. I do want to start with Arthur Smith because we do get to talk to him. What is it, Wednesday? We get to hear from Arthur Smith. And kudos to Ryan Day. I've said this a million times, and we still don't have an answer. What does the Arthur Smith offense look like? We will never know. We won't know until we're in Austin, Texas at 6:30 Central Time watching them take the field. Are they Central Time over there?
Yes, they are.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the heads up.
This is a geography show, apparently.
Yes, that's right.
Not math.
I am so just like, you watch the first 3 days of camp, and I understand that we are going to learn nothing in the first 3 days of camp. Like playbook-wise. They're not jotting anything out that fans can see that actually matters.
There were some things that I think would be pretty interesting if they come to fruition in a real game.
Like what?
There were places that Jeremiah Smith was lined up.
Well, yes.
There were routes that he was running.
You're talking personnel and positions.
Yeah, but I think that it applies to the playbook. And if, because, for instance, we left Student Appreciation Day, Adam, and we talked about mesh concepts and drag routes and things that looked like vintage Ryan Day, 2018, 2019 Ryan Day. And I know that what we saw on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the first 3 practices of training camp, is not full contact, was not full pads, was not, scheming anything up. But if they're going to send Jeremiah in motion, if they're going to, flip him, quick balls out of the backfield, if they're going to put him in the slot and make teams struggle to identify how and where to double, or if they can, that I think is significant. Now, is that the entire offense? No, it is. To your point, maybe more limited to Jeremiah specifically.
That's what I was going to say. So, I don't, and this was my bit, do you think that's Arthur Smith, or do you think they would have done that anyway? Because I feel like that's probably Ryan Day saying we have to find a way.
I don't know the
to
answer.
But I'm curious the staunch differences in an Arthur Smith offense. I will say, I don't know if I'm sure you've been Snap Judgments. You guys have delved into your biggest takeaways.
Yeah.
One of mine was actually the red zone. I thought the red zone drill that they did on Saturday.
So you can actually, we didn't get into that on Snap Judgments because you went down for a different vantage point. You saw different things than I did. So you should actually tell me what you saw.
I thought it was the most impressive point of camp for me offensively. Not even impressive, the one that would make a fan most go, oh, because the red zone was a problem last year.
Sure was.
They were down in one of the periods, and it was just red zone, full go. And first of all, Julian Sayin looks, and I've said this, and I don't think enough people are talking about it, his routine throws look so much better than they did a year ago.
Well, I tell you what, if you can make the routine plays routine,
things
that's
work out.
Pretty good.
It's like I think we can all agree there were some throws a year ago in fall camp where you're like, uh-oh, that can't happen against Texas. And he would have those wow moments, but there would also be concerning moments. I did not see very many concerning moments, and the wow moments still delivered in a big way. A lot of those wow moments were in the red zone. Just the ability to get guys open was impressive. The intentionality of some of the plays in the red zone, watching them, was something that I think we've wanted to see from Ohio State. From a fan perspective, they were all on the side, so they got to see what it would be if you were on the sideline, I guess. And with that, you could tell exactly where they were trying to go with the football. There wasn't wishy-washiness, and they threw one ball perfectly to Jeremiah. They drew up a 2-point conversion play to Jeremiah, and it worked. The idea is he's the best player on the field. Let's get him the ball. And I think that's not always what they did last season. It is. And you know who else was really good? Chris Henry Jr. They got him some great plays. I saw a lot of the tight ends worked in, and they were impressive. I think it's not what people want to hear, but the tight ends made a lot of great catches through the first 3 days. I think they are going to be a part of this offense. But I was very pleasantly surprised with that red zone drill. I think it, without question, was the most, okay, this offense looks quicker, sharper, more tuned in than it did a year ago.
I think that the part that you raised, the issue you raised with the tight ends, if you use them creatively, then it's not a problem. I think that the issue that they ran into last year, primarily in the red zone, was that it's like, well, let's just throw more bodies out there and that will solve it. And Ohio State had confidence in all those guys, and they had 2 NFL draft picks in Max Clare and Will Kazmarek, but it wasn't unique offense. It was, I think, trying to overpower an opponent, which maybe the devil's advocate would say they should be able to do that. But in talent equated matchup games, you're not going to win every single time. You're not going to bully your opponent. And September 12th in Texas, you can use 12 personnel. You can use 13 personnel, but it needs to look different, I think, than it did a year ago. And I think that was some of the routes that we saw, some of the success that was done over the middle of the field, whether that was Nate Roberts or Max LeBlanc had some great catches. I would say someone that did not get proper due for what he did in the first 3 days that was surprising to me, and I'll just bring him up on a Talking Tuesday instead, was Max LeBlanc. Like, if you'd asked me a year ago if he was ever going to play and have some sort of role at Ohio State, I'd be like, that would surprise me. And I was still very shocked to see him doing that over those first couple days, but he's done the work. Keenan Bailey pours into his guys as position coach with the tight ends, and generally, if you stick with it with Mickey Marotti, with your position coach in a Ryan Day offense, and now maybe even with Arthur Smith and what he knows how to do with those tight ends, maybe it will click in place for him. We'll see. He's not the only one. I mean, you have Bennett Christian playing a role, and Hunter Welsing and Mason Williams along with Nate Roberts. But, to your point, yeah, you might face some resistance. Oh, no, here we go with the tight ends again. I just don't think that Ohio State had a real innovative plan for what wanted to do with tight ends other than just like a bunch of them being involved.
I think I walked down after, this might have been on Friday, and it must have been Thursday. I said, the catch of the day just happened. And you said, who was it? And I said, it was Matt LeBlanc from the Friends.
That would have been a real stud.
Yeah, no, it was Max LeBlanc.
How you doing?
And I it did lead me to believe that I think this tight end room is going to be completely by committee. I don't think it's going to be one leading tight end that kind of carries the day.
I think it's going to be one leading tight end and then rotation beyond
that. Okay, so you think
I don't think Nate Roberts is coming off the field.
Okay, well, Nate Roberts is like a different element in all of this.
He's the leading tight end.
Yes, but Nate Roberts has already etched out. I'm talking okay, that's fair. I think Nate Roberts has his role.
Yeah.
But then I think when you look at the other group of guys, I thought there was a world where when we started fall camp, Bennett Christian kind of pushed to be that spot, or Hunter Wilson pushed to be that spot. I think it's just going to be a pool.
My point was only,
yeah.
We can agree.
Okay, thank you. It's great. It's great to agree on that point. But I thought, and I don't think that I would have been there this quickly, but I'm impressed with how much a lot of those guys have pushed. Anyway, back to questions. Long walk for a short drink of water.
Oh, there it is.
I have so many for Arthur Smith, and the tight end usage is a big one. Just what does this, like, I wish that I could just sit there and watch Arthur Smith just diagram not the playbook, just like what is the
A play would be great.
A play. That's exactly. What does this look like?
What's your thought process?
Yes. With that, and this is a big question that I'm sure you've talked about.
Arthur Smith, will you diagram a play for me?
Will you diagram a play? Lie detector, Arthur Smith.
LDAS.
You can't win a national title without the running backs. Arthur Smith's offense certainly can't win a national title without dominant running backs. The unique opportunity that you have with Arthur Smith joining your offense is that he has no prerequisite of last year. He doesn't care. Does not matter to him.
Yeah.
When you look at this running back room, I would love to know how much Arthur Smith is involved in why Isaiah West has gotten so much run and why he is where he is. And if you ask Arthur Smith, like, give me give me where these running backs stand. I would love to lie detector and get an answer on, like, do you think Isaiah West is the guy here? Do you think Legend Bay is a different animal? I loved how they used him even just in those few short windows we got to see.
Yeah.
But do you feel confident that Bo Jackson, Isaiah West, and Jacoby Jackson can win you a national title? I would love to get his answer there. And you have to do it lie detector style because, of course, if you ask him that question on Wednesday, he's going to say
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would also love to know, what is your worry level? Like, where do you most fear having those three guys? I think the thing with Isaiah West is it's really hard. Last year's last year, but it's really hard not to think about a few plays that could have gone differently. And instead of being tackled for a first down, could have been a touchdown, and you win a game. Mm-hmm. I think Isaiah West presents you the best opportunity to make those plays in that moment. Would you agree?
It seems that way. And I think that's why this week is going to wind up being pretty critical. And I don't want to sound hypocritical about that. If you had said 2 weeks into training camp last year, you got to get through the first scrimmage and then make a decision about your pecking order at running back. Like, there's no season where that really applies. Yeah. And that's true this year as well, because Bo Jackson's ascension into the top back for Ohio State really didn't happen until, the end of September. And there was the flashes, and then there was the pushback about ball security and fumbles, and then there was the next step forward, and then there was a little bit of an injury and, another, fumble at the goal line, and it was kind of push and pull and start and stop. And at that, Isaiah West, Ryan Day mentioned this last week, that coming off the injury he had, we never saw, the fully realized best version of Isaiah West when he was out there. There were, especially Wisconsin, I know you and I talked about it in Camp Randall, that after that game, it's like, could there be another push here where it's both of the true freshmen at the top of the depth chart? And it didn't really, play out that way down the stretch. But the explosive potential of Isaiah West is hard to ignore. Now, he's not been in full pads, and that's why I say that this week does become maybe more significant, because lie detector Arthur Smith is going to have a scrimmage, I think, at the end of it, where they're going to hit, they're going to go to the ground, they're going to have some live reps to evaluate. And I think that will probably be strongly used in his consideration for what they have to do running the football against Texas in a month's time. So I don't know that he knows the answer on Wednesday when you ask it, but the next time that we do, I think he's probably going to have a really good idea for how that pecking order is going to look heading into the first 2 weeks of the regular season. And it's subject to change after that. Like Bo Jackson did it a year ago. He could do it again by this Saturday or by the end of September. Who knows? Either way, I think Ohio State's going to need all three of those guys you mentioned to get that done, because it's not a one-man job.
It's not. And that's why I don't know that you need a pecking order. But I guess if the question would be, and maybe you hope it doesn't come this way, but like, is there enough of a gap that you need to see Isaiah get more reps? Like, is there enough of a gap where you go into Texas saying, this is our guy? Or is it, hey, these are both our guys. We're impressed with how Isaiah has built, but we've got a 1-2 punch here that we like, and Jacoby Jackson as a third. You know what else is something a lot of people like, Austin?
What's that?
Is that moment when you see the first leaf fall, and you've moved from summer to fall.
Well, we're not in fall yet. This is training camp or preseason camp, right?
Someone call it fall camp. Someone call it fall camp.
Well, seasons change, but comfort doesn't. Call the Waterworks and Hetter, heating, cooling, and plumbing for maintenance, installation, and repairs, or visit online at thewaterworks.com. The Waterworks and Hetter, heating, cooling, and plumbing, proud sponsor of Ohio State athletics. All right, so we're also going to hear from Matt Patricia. By the end of the week, we'll hear from Ryan Day.
I have one person I want to hear from.
Hit me.
Where is Christian Allegro? I want to talk to him. Where is he? I feel like I have talked to everybody on this team. They've been great. I realized the other day, I was sitting there, and I'm looking at this list. We get to hear from James Smith. Great, very excited. Like James Smith. He was great. He was on the fan. He was great on the fan. We get to hear from Quay Rousseau. He's I'm riding the bus with Quay. He looked good. You look good.
When did I say he wasn't going to look good?
I'm just saying, he looked good. You're right. He did not say that.
Who was starting, by the way?
Bo did look good. Okay. Where is Christian Allegro? Find me this man.
I'd like to know where Christian Allegro is right now.
Find me this man and put a mic in front of his face, because I am so excited to talk to him. First of all, he looked great. He looked so comfortable out there, which I don't know that I thought I would be this excited about him this early in the season. I thought it would take a little bit of like, I want to go back when he transferred and say, hey, I know it's not what everybody wants to talk about right now, but like this is a massive get for Ohio State. He looks so good out there. I think he is top 5, and maybe this is a discussion for another Talk on Tuesday as we get closer.
Ooh.
Top 5 most confident I am in a guy taking the field for the first time with the Buckeyes. Or not for the first time, like locking in a position for the first time. I think without question, I'm top 5 confident in him filling that void. I want to talk to him. I want to hear about the transition.
Anything specifically you want to ask?
Yes, I want to ask him the difference between playing, like, we talk so much about Matt Patricia and like this defense and how it's an NFL style defense and all of that. But like when he's out there, how tough has it been for him to transition over? Or when he takes the field against Texas, is it going to feel like I'm doing the exact same thing just with a different jersey on and a different, in scarlet and gray as opposed to whatever the heck Wisconsin calls their red? But man, he doesn't look like a transfer out there. I want to talk to him.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that I was always excited about the Christian Allegro acquisition. It's that none of this stuff should feel unfamiliar to him. Luke Fickell and Brady Collins, both built their careers at Ohio State. They understand what it takes to be in the Woody. They've largely modeled their own programs after what, Luke Fickell's mentors, whether that be Jim Tressel or an experience with Urban Meyer, taking that to Cincinnati. Brady Collins working with Mickey Marotti for years before going with Luke down to Cincinnati. These guys have tried to model everything they do with their own spin and own flavor and all that, whether it was at Cincinnati with the Bearcats or Wisconsin with the Badgers. I think, I talked to Christian Allegro about that in the spring. It's like he understands the way it's structured and what it's supposed to look like, and he's competed at a Big Ten level. And for me, if all of those people, Luke Fickell, Brady Collins, Mickey Marotti, Matt Patricia, and most importantly, James Laurinaitis all say this is the guy that they want at the top of their board, and there is nobody else on that board because all the chips are in there to go get Christian Allegro out of the portal. That's well and truly good enough for me. So I do agree with you. We've only talked to him the one time. I'd like to hear more about it because he's about to play a really prominent role. I
think that's why I most want to talk to. I feel like everybody that's played a big role or is going to play a big role we've talked to, and he's one guy that I feel like he's going to be massive for this team. There is a world where Christian Allegro is a game changer against Texas.
Which also very much wanted Christian Allegro.
Yeah, it's
didn't get him.
Those linebackers are going to have a little chip on their shoulder against Texas.
That's true.
The other one is the Texas Tornado Bro. Did you know that? I came up with that nickname.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah. Don't tell Birm. Okay. All right, my last question. And I think I might get a good answer here. Sometimes.
Who's this one for?
This is for Ryan Day.
LDRD?
Well, LDRD. And I kind of want to give it a little bit, maybe next week. This is a better question. But
why wait?
What?
Don't put off until tomorrow.
That's right. What could be done today? I want to know.
I just wrote that.
That's beautiful. I want to know what was Arthur Smith's biggest wake-up call for Ryan Day.
Okay.
There was something that they walked in there, and Ryan has talked a lot about how he brings an outside perspective, and that's great. When Chip Kelly came in, he brought an outside perspective.
Kind of.
That's true. They're very similar, but I guess
I remember I brought this up in spring, Adam, and I don't want to interrupt you, but
no.
The outside perspective, like a true outsider, when Bill O'Brien came in, I remember Ryan Day saying this. He's like, in 1 week on the whiteboard, he gave Ohio State way more feedback than he ever imagined. And that was right away. Now, they wanted it to last longer than a week.
That's true.
But, Ryan Day is not opposed to that. I'll let you finish your question in a second. But
no, I think you've kind of nailed it.
It is one of the things that is really impressive about Ryan Day is that he is not. I compare it to the fall of Clemson and Dabo Swinney, where everything seems to be his way and his way only.
Refusing to take an outside perspective.
No innovation of any kind. Ryan Day is not opposed to that.
No.
Never has been.
So then my question would be what is the thing? Because you talk about Bill O'Brien coming in 1 week, and that's fine. You can watch tape and learn and give your thoughts. But it's a different mindset to go through spring ball, summer workouts, summer planning in the first week of fall camp.
Mm-hmm.
What is
When?
the first week of training camp?
Thank you.
What is
Now I know what
something
season
that Arthur Smith has walked in and said, okay, guys, I've noticed this, and I think if you do X, this could be a game changer. There's going to be something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Ryan will tell us, because maybe that's like, I thought the one thing that I gave Chip Kelly a lot of credit for, and I think Ryan would have done it in its own regard, is giving the star players the ball, because good players make good plays, put the ball in their hands. And I think Ryan Day's been good about that, but I think maybe Arthur Smith comes back in and says, like the use of Legend Bay. Like, hey, we have these guys. Let's use them. Let's not worry about gear. Let's not worry about reps. If you've got the talent, put it in the game.
I was pretty surprised when Legend Bay got back on Saturday. It wasn't extensive work that he was getting, but during those early periods and during teach, like he was out there with the ones, and I was like, I did not think that would happen.
No, it felt. I think it was quite the message sent. You don't send that message unless you think there's something really special here, and you want to. There's a word I can't think, like cut it, snip, stop it at the first moment, whatever.
Nip it in the bud.
Nip it in the bud. There it is. Nip it in the bud. And make sure that it's like, okay, let's go play football and let's go do this the right way. Long story short, I'm very intrigued as to what jumped out to Arthur Smith, because I'm sure when he first watched film, he circled things. But now, is there something in the offense that maybe he has helped click? And all of this is to say, I love when we talk about the Buckeyes offense like it's struggled, when it's the number one offense over the last 5 seasons in just about every statistical category. Pretty good.
But not red zone offense.
Not red zone.
And not last year. I think it's entirely fair to point that out. And if it's also not a mystery to Ryan Day, and it won't be to Arthur Smith when he was evaluating the personnel that he was, and the scheme that he was being hired to come help enhance. Like, everybody knows that. And Ryan Day said it throughout last year. And I think part of the frustration of watching it as Ohio State sort of spun its tires in those scenarios was like, he kept saying in the wins, like, the issues are always there. And that issue in red zone and short yardage was always there. And they didn't really come up with a solution that was going to get it truly solved. And it cost them dearly. It cost them everything against Indiana, which would have changed the playoff bracket after that.
Do you think there's a world where...
Is there a world?
Where he gives not the answer. I don't know what that was. That was horrifying. Not the answer, but yes, we figured out what was wrong, and we have addressed it, and we believe we've fixed it. Do you think that is a real thing? Because that implies solving the red zone implies that you figured out what was wrong with the red zone.
Yeah.
And I think if they knew what was wrong last year, they wouldn't have just been like, well, we're going to keep doing it this way. So do you...
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, because it's not for lack of brain power.
Yeah,
or lack
that's
of
my
effort
point.
last year.
So do you think maybe that's something Arthur Smith came in and said, hey, from an outside perspective, you're doing this in the red zone and it's hurting you. There's obviously something that changed in the red, because it's not a problem. Like, it's not like in the Ryan Day tenure, it's been like, boy, this guy can't score in the red zone. Yeah. Like, no, they're having amazing offense. It just was last year. So I wonder if something in those meetings in the last 6 months has clicked, and they're like, you know what? Because I watched the red zone period, and I was beyond impressed with. I understand it was day 3 of fall camp, but though I was watching the plays that didn't work last year work, and maybe it's Julian just being a little bit tighter on everything. But man, I am optimistic about the offense. I am nervous about the run game, but I'm optimistic about the offense.
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds like there's a bunch of questions to get into there with Arthur Smith, continuing that on offense. We have that side of the ball will be on the microphone on Wednesday, defense on Thursday, Ryan Day on Saturday. That is the plan for this week. We'll have snap judgments. After all of that, we will have...
Where is Christian Allegro? I want to speak to him.
You can bring him out here right now. We'll be back with a stock watch with Birm's picks from the first 3 days of practice. I might give a couple stock suggestions as well. Some of those names we'll have said already. We'll repeat them. But who knows?
Jay Timmons.
Anywhere by the end of the week, Friday, of course, Freaky Friday mailbag. Get those questions to the Austin and Birm Show at gmail.com, the Austin and Birm Show at gmail.com. This, however, as you already know, was a Talkin' Tuesday with Television's Adam King. I appreciate his questions, his insight, his knowledge.
I wouldn't say knowledge.
His questions.
Thank you.
More than anything else. He's Adam. I am Austin Ward. We will talk to you later.